gentlemen, welcome back to Director Watch, an Awards Watch podcast that attempts to get inside the mind of cinema greatest auteurs, explore what drives them, and maybe we go on a few unrelated tangents along the way. I'm Ryan McQuade, the executive editor here at Awards Watch, and joining me as always is my floaty, twirly Malik co-host, Jay Ledbetter.
Ryan, living my life is like playing Call of Duty on easy mode. And I think that's what we're going to get into today as much as anything else. We're talking Knight of Cups. We're talking
Thirsty?
I is this the most like the least accessible Malik movie? Or is that To the Wonder?
It's To the Wonder.
Yeah, they're both these are the two.
I
This
thought
one
you were
has
going to
Batman
ask,
in
is
it.
this the thirstiest Malik movie? And I was going to suggest that maybe because of all the Hollywood horniness going on.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It's thirsty.
Well, I
You
was
gotta
going
drink
to say,
drink from the cup.
well, to be fair, and I'm going to retract my last statement because I said it has Batman in it, but To the Wonder also has a Batman in it. So that's not
It's true.
a very good barometer to weigh out which Malik movie is more digestible. I think that this one is. I think that To the Wonder is like, if you watch them in order, To the Wonder, while we gave a great defense of that last week, that is a the more I think about it, that is just a movie that no one is ever going to watch. Like, at least with this, I think because people love Christian Bale, and it's got Kate Blanchett, Natalie Portman. If you're like, hey, it's got those three stars attached to it, you might have a better shot than just Ben Affleck being sad, you know?
Instead, it's Christian Bale being sad.
Yeah, but I would rather watch Christian Bale being sad than Ben Affleck being sad. That's just me.
In which film does the lead speak more diegetically?
I think this one, right?
I think it's like a tie.
It's like a tie. He
It-
does have more. I think he speaks more in voiceover.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's an interesting film. I'm excited to talk about it.
I'm excited to talk about it as well. We're already past the halfway point of this series, and we're in the middle of our floaty, twirly Malik era. And this is our guest is floating around all the way to his mic. We're joined by our friend and film critic Jesse Nussman here today. Jesse, welcome back to Director Watch.
Thanks for having me back. I'm very honored to be on the Terrence Malick series. Just one of the most fascinating people on the planet, in my opinion, that I know next to nothing about. So,
I mean, like, that's the thing about this series. Is like Jay's been doing all the research. I've learned more from Jay's research than probably because he doesn't do any interviews and he doesn't talk, and
It's all secondhand.
it's
Yeah.
all secondhand, third hand.
he's like the Paul Bunyan of the 70s directors.
That's exactly right. And
is-
everything you hear from everybody is just like he's super funny and nice and chill.
Yeah, there's the one interview. I think it's him introducing, I forget if it's this movie or Song to Song, but he's introducing it with Richard Linklater, and that I think might be like the first time I'd ever seen him talk in anything.
It was
And it's
probably
like a
song to song.
yeah, it's like a blurry, grainy, like, someone shot it on their like iPhone 5 or something at like a screening in Austin, and Terrence Malick is up there and is just like your like mild-mannered like third grade science teacher or something like that.
Well, yeah, it's probably because Song to Song did premiere at South by Southwest, and Linklater was such a part of it. So it probably was that. But also, Linklater's a part of the Austin Film Society and owns that too. So he probably got it for like a private screening, and Linklater does a lot of those Q&As. So it's probably the only one that can get him out of wherever the hell he lives in Austin. I could just imagine him going to like food trucks in Austin. That would be a little weird. I know he shot a bunch in Song to Song. Anyway,
It's true.
he's
Do you
in
think he
the-
goes do you think he
recognize him,
goes to
though?
restaurants?
Yeah, it was like, do you think he has like? Well, he doesn't probably have enough money for a private chef, right?
But like if
He
he's
does,
there's so
Ryan.
little,
He's
like,
an oil
photographs of
he's an
him,
oil
like,
trust fund boy.
Is he? Okay,
That's
he?
the word on the street,
that's the word on the
Oh.
street. That's the thing. Is like,
which is the great irony of Terrence Malick being from an oil family.
yeah.
Again,
it's the Howard Hughes of our
unsubstantiated
time.
rumor, but it was described as like the best kept secret that isn't a secret in
Who do you think
like
is going to get the
Hollywood.
right? Who do you think is going to get the right to that giant memoir? Like, right? Who do you
Oh
think
God, is that like the most anticipated movie book
Yeah.
ever? Is like whoever gets like
whoever gets to sit down interviews with him for that?
yeah, when he's like 98 and he's just sort of like,
Yeah.
it's time.
It's time to
It's
sit
probably
down.
gonna be like a cardinal or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy that didn't become the next pope.
Yeah.
No, I mean for sure. But Jesse, we brought you here to talk about Knight of Cups.
Mhm.
And so I know we've been joking around already, and maybe you have a more relaxed, jovial relationship with Terrence Malick. But I'm curious about your relationship with his films and what you like about him, what you don't like about him, and what makes him so special for you.
Yeah, I do earnestly love Terrence Malick. And I part of the humor of like I think it started as a fascination because of the like he doesn't give any interviews. He, up until the last decade, like would only make a movie like every now and then, and he was just this object of like rumor. And there was something even about, I think mistakenly the first movie of his I saw was Tree of Life when that came out, just because the reviews were so good and I was in high school, and so I was like, I gotta see this. And it was hearing about his process and like how improvisational like a lot of his scenes are, and how it's a lot of just him with these actors kind of just sort of like shooting a bunch of random stuff and then kind of making it up as they go along, and then he like goes into the edit bay and like forms it into something. And it's I think all five of his first, few movies are masterpieces and are, it's incredible the way he's able to be much more abstract as he keeps going, but also sort of retain this like very tangible human emotion. And even in this period, which I would say for most people is probably his down period, this sort of like twirly trilogy. Um, it's interesting to see him at least sort of like attempt to get to that peak level, even if he doesn't arrive at it. I'm always excited to what like I can't wait to be arguing with my like super religious family members about whatever his Jesus movie is that's like he's just toying away with as we speak. But like he is a unique singular artist, and every time I see one of his movies, I'm like, I don't understand how this even like mildly works. Like, let alone is a masterpiece and is like coalescing into this beautiful work of art, because there's just something so like random and freelance and abstract about the way he works.
What's so great about it too, and it's what we've been doing a lot on the show, is you can say so many things about it and you can sound really great in one sentence, and then the next
no stupid almost exclusively.
Stupid almost exclusively. Okay, I was trying to be nice.
I was speaking for myself.
Oh, okay.
You sound awesome.
Well, I actually highly doubt that. I think it's been the other way around on this series. If anyone wants to know how big a dum Ryan McQuade is, they can listen to the Terrence Malick series and be like, does this guy know how to form a sentence? But it's also just because it's all visual. It's all how it makes you emotionally feel. It's kind of hard to always just put a. I'm doing it right now. It's kind of hard to just kind of surmise it all together, and that's I think the great effect with it. And then I just been thinking about these movies for the like last couple of weeks, and they just kind of seep into your memory, and then you're walking around with them, and then any moment you have silence. I don't know about you guys, but any moment I've had silence the last couple of weeks, I feel like an inner monologue's about to start in my head, or it's like going to cut to my trees outside or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
I've been hearing Rachel McAdams' voice a lot.
That's weird. She's barely in that movie. That's the one fucking character that's been in your head.
I don't know why. Can't tell you.
I always have the Sissy Spacek narration in my head with that little like Texas twang.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Really playing it up in that one.
Jay, I'm surprised it's not Caviezel. for you?
Well, we talk all the time.
You just do you guys what do you guys use to communicate? Is it like prepaid phones?
No, it's like we went to like a military
You had to
kinda,
get VPNs.
well, yeah, we got VPNs on our landlines. That's what we did.
That's I don't know if is that possible?
It is now. You guys are part of the deep state.
Oh, we are.
How many conservative family members do you think I could convince to watch Tree of Life, or not Tree of Life, Thin Red Line with me by saying like, yo, the guy from Sound of Freedom, he's in that. He's the lead. Narrates the whole movie practically.
Probably more
than you
I
think.
would like.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then they would most likely be really mad at that movie.
But I'd be happy because I'd be watching Thin Red Line.
Yeah,
that's fair. That's
man, what a banger.
That's 2 hours and 45 minutes though. I think your family might walk out of that room.
That's fine. Me and Terry, just our special
boys,
bond.
Just hanging out.
They'd be going from Terry to Tucker.
Oh, for God's sakes. The series really goes off the rails if we're not focused up. We're here to talk about again.
I've been on my best behavior.
You have been on your best behavior.
This is very uncharacteristic for this series.
Yeah. Jesse, Knight of Cups. From what I understand, before this episode started, I assumed that you picked this movie, as all guests usually do. But it sounds like you maybe were forced a little bit against your will by our
I think
Ledbetter.
Forced might be a little strong.
Jay said, "Do you want to do Knight of Cups?" And I said that was the one Malick movie that I struggled to emotionally connect to, but maybe you can convince me otherwise. And that intrigued me enough to be on this episode, as well as just sort of like I was going to feel insulted if I didn't get asked to come on the Terrence Malick episode, because like Jay and I wind up at a lot of the same screenings, and I forget the exact moment when I knew Jay was like a cool guy, but I'm pretty sure it was a Terrence Malick reference, and I was like, I think it was when you said Malick was your favorite director, and I was like, this guy, he knows what's going on,
bringing some credibility to the Atlanta Film Critics Circle.
Exactly.
To be fair, I thought the reason why Jesse wanted to come back was to hang out with me more, not about Jay.
That's a nice bonus.
I mean,
that's like the sugar on top. But
I don't want to just be sugar. I want to be the main dish, like just to be sugar.
No,
like,
you're like, have you ever gone to those cupcake bakeries where like the cupcake is like 25% of what you're eating, but then like the rest is just this like overwhelming mound of like icing
and crap.
I would say you're sort of the Antonio Banderas from Knight of Cups of this podcast, like this particular episode.
So that, to partially interrupt, was the other reason, because we can put a pin in it, but I did want to ask you guys what your thought process about like trying strawberries versus raspberries and all the other things Antonio Banderas talks about. Like what's the best berry you've tried, and you can interpret that in whatever way.
Can I just say this real quick? And this is gonna be, again, going in the wrong direction for a Terrence Malick episode, but recently I bought a fruit cup from Chick-fil-A for my son.
Wait, you go to Chick-fil-A?
Oh yeah, me and Caviezel.
He's got a kid. You can't keep the kids away from the Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, that's fair.
Impossible.
Well, it's like in Atlanta. It's like an Atlanta staple for you guys, I guess, right?
It's like right down the street.
Yeah, morality is just out the window for everything. But
they make good chicken.
The chicken's good. I don't know what to say.
Chicken's damn good.
Do you get the sauce? Do you get the Chick-fil-A sauce, or do you?
Yeah, I'm on a diet right now, though. I gotta lay off the Chick-fil-A sauce. You know how calorie dense that stuff is?
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah, but it's delicious.
Anyway, bought a fruit cup for my son, I believe, for breakfast.
For breakfast, you're giving him a fruit cup?
Let the boy have some fruit for breakfast.
He's a responsible parent.
Get him the damn minis, dude.
No, he got. It was in addition to.
It was in addition. I was like,
he likes
getting him a fruit cup. That's
egg
mean.
They're a side. It's a well balanced breakfast.
Okay, all right, okay,
yeah.
All right.
And that is like an apple based fruit cup. It is 60% apples.
Antonio Banderas would not approve.
Too many
Puss
apples.
in Boots, not approved.
No,
you know what I mean?
No. Anyway, carry on.
What do you like though? This is God damn it. Or going down this rabbit hole, but might as well ask.
I was not expecting this was going to happen so early.
Jay, what is the good ratio for a fruit cup?
Well, I mean, it's got to be
what are
pretty even.
necessities?
But I don't. I mean, see, like I'm not a melon guy. Yeah, I mean, you got to have some strawberries in there.
You got to have some grapes in there.
Throw some grapes.
Green or
honestly,
green or
I think apples in general are kind of too hard. I think the texture is kind of off.
I think you got to have pineapple.
Pineapple is I would call it optional but good.
I need pineapple in there.
I like a little clementine in there sometimes.
Yeah,
like that could be a nice change. Yeah. You know what's nice every now and then? Maybe not every fruit bowl. A little kiwi.
A little kiwi. Kiwi's good. Did you say blueberries?
I did not, but yeah, that's totally fine. I also like a little banana in there. I'm a big banana guy.
Not a banana guy here.
I don't put the banana in the fruit.
See, I think it adds a little bit. I can't explain why, but
I like it separately.
Is this our worst episode?
This is the best thing we've ever done.
What an honor.
And what an
considering it's probably my fault that I'm diverging us into so many bits.
Fucking expensive strawberries are though, or raspberries.
Oh, trust me, I know.
God, yeah.
The markup on the berry industry, my God, it's just a bit out of control.
Big berry.
Yeah, big berry, exactly. Yeah, whoever can lower the cost of berries, that's who's got my vote in the election. God damn. You go over to the fruits and veg and you're just like, God, you can't buy anything.
You know why? Actually, there's demand has maintained for berries, but ever since the cancellation of berry, the supply has been super low.
Damn.
I don't know whether that's a real fact or you're just screwing around.
Well, we got so much berry. Every week we got an episode of berry. We no longer get that. The supply.
God damn it. See, I didn't know if it was real or not. God, that's some really dark berries, though. God, that's last season of berry.
Yeah,
my God.
Some blackberries.
Not a joke inside. Berry is
weird juice.
Yeah, it was like that and the bear. God, how do you laugh on those shows? Good Lord. Those aren't comedies. All right. Night of Cups. Let's talk about the fucking movie. Jesse, what do you think of this movie?
I think this movie is really fascinating, especially as like a portrait of Malik's period in Hollywood. But this is the one movie of his that like I can't quite connect to the emotion of it. It just always feels a little like too distant for me and a little too sort of like, this is, by the way, if you're hearing like crazy sounds in the background, that's my dog with the zoomies. But
that's fine. Jay has those at about the 45-minute mark of every episode.
But I mean,
that's how we got on the fruit tangent.
Yeah, I'm sort of fascinated by this movie and look forward to talking about it, but it's the one movie of his where it feels like something that's very personal to him that doesn't quite connect to me as an audience member. Even I think like To the Wonder, I think there's something about like the idea of being in a relationship with someone where like there is a language gap barrier and how sort of isolating that could be for certain partners at different points depending on where they're living. And even the, there's something about kind of the cynical way, but also earnest way he views the music industry in Song to Song that is sort of easy to glom onto, or, his love of Austin as a city is so clear in that movie. I don't know. This is just a movie that it feels like a lot of someone's personal shit that I can't. It's interesting to watch them work through it, but I can't quite like latch into whatever they're working through.
Gotcha. Jay?
Yeah.
I know you got the 900 books over there.
Yeah. Not a ton written on this one.
Yeah, I kind of figured. But what did you learn, and what do you think of the movie?
Yeah, so as far as production is concerned, I think Bale got on board pretty early. He never saw a page of dialogue over the course of this film. Other people did.
You gotta love it.
But he saw absolutely nothing. And he said only slightly more than he saw, but which again was nothing. But This is, I mean, it's classic Malick, right? Malick is filming in public for like the permission to shoot in places. They'd be like, can we just have these 4 blocks? And then they would just see people going about their day-to-day life and be like, hey, get into this scene, please. And the cast of this film is fascinating. There are so many comedy people in this movie.
Yeah.
And even more that didn't make it into the movie. But like Nick Kroll is in this, Nick Offerman, Jolo Truglio, Tom Lennon is in it. So it's just really interesting his approach, and I just imagine Terrence Malick watching, like, what was the fantasy football show that Nick Kroll was on?
Oh,
The League.
The League.
Yeah, I just imagine Malick watching The League and being like, "This is my guy."
He probably would like it. It's a very improvisational show.
That's true.
As I understand.
That's true. Very
Dan
good
Harmon's
point.
in this,
Yeah, Dan Harmon he's in it for a second, but and Thomas Lennon has some really funny anecdotes just about his experience making the movie. He was like, it was the weirdest day I've ever had in my entire life. I got in an argument with my wife on the phone and he came over and started shooting it. And I was like, this is a real invasion of privacy. And then he was like, oh, who cares? I don't, whatever. They can see this fight with my wife. It's probably not going in the movie. But obviously the shooting style here is he's even making it more experimental. He's given Christian Bale a GoPro and saying, go in the ocean and we're going to put it in the movie. The cast, again, even when you go beyond the comedy people, the roster is so deep, and it's deep with people that he will use again. And Ryan, that's something we've talked about a lot over the course of the series, is who has worked with Malick more than once. Obviously Bale had already, but then Blanchett does it multiple times.
Portman
does it multiple times. It's a super deep roster. Natalie Portman claims that Days of Heaven is her favorite movie of all time, so she just wanted to be in a Malick movie.
What a queen!
Agreed.
She's got impeccable taste.
And this was also the first movie that she had done in 2 years because she had just had a kid. So this is a fascinating one to return for, I guess. Honestly, if you're a little out of practice, that might be the best way to go into a Malick production. I'll say that. I don't know. But obviously, like, Jack Fisk is working on this again, and you don't really understand why he's there because there's really no sets. And he's like, yeah, I'm basically like an overpaid location scout. That's what I am for movies like this. So he loves this movie. He
probably like the interior, right?
Yeah. Well, interior he probably does some design. Like, he talked about the design of the apartment and specifically how it suits to that robbery sequence.
He's just not building
in the middle of the film.
Houses in this movie.
No, but also he's not building the apartment itself. It's just an apartment that they shot in, right? So
I bet he built the bed.
He probably built the bed from hand.
He can't help himself. He's got to build.
He can't help it.
He's Jack the Builder,
And the last thing I'll kind of mention as far as the making of the film is Malick really emphasized this thing called torpedoing, which is, especially in the party sequences, he would just grab somebody. He would be filming Bale talking to somebody, and he would grab somebody and just be like, you've known this guy for years. He used to be your writing partner. Go and interrupt their conversation. And that's what a lot of this movie consists of. And it rocks. And I think this is absolutely Malick's most underrated film. I think it is probably his best film post Tree of Life, which means remarkably that it sits like right in the middle of his filmography. I really liked this movie the first time I saw it. I'm in love with it now. I think this is a fantastic film, not just because of that aesthetic that we talked about with Tallarico on our To the Wonder episode, but it has this, it feels like an odyssey. It's an odyssey of the memory. And I think that is so effective and unlike any movie I've really seen before, because it takes that sense of memory that you have from To the Wonder and kind of blows it out into this again, transcendent scale of something like the Tree of Life. There's like repeated imagery in this movie from the Tree of Life. And even from the very start, you think about him just walking through the desert, how that mirrors Sean Penn in the Tree of Life. But then it undercuts that completely by cutting to a car driving behind him and a highway. So it's very much like this world of Los Angeles that has kind of poisoned him to a certain extent, intervening on this spiritual realm that he is attempting to experience. And then in an almost Charles Dickens way, it's like we're going to go visit the ghosts of your past, and through that you will reach some state of spiritual fulfillment. Like every single Terrence Malick movie, it is a movie about someone searching for meaning, and I would say this is the most explicit of all of those. And this is also, I would argue, the one film where you could make an argument that it isn't reality. It is like reflect very much like this funhouse mirror of memory, and it has all the classical Malick elements with the music and again that floaty camera. This movie looks incredible. And
I will 1,000% agree with that. Yeah.
I think the reason I was so taken with it visually, because Malick's movies all look incredible, but seeing his style transposed onto an urban setting, and we saw dashes of this in The Tree of Life, but now it is like the environment that we are in all the time. Seeing that with Lubez or Chivo's incredible cinematography, it looked like there were times where I was like, this looks like a Michael Mann movie. I actually had that thought many times, but that's just kind of speaks to, again, Michael Mann low key is like a very floaty filmmaker. Yeah, for very different purposes. But you see him shooting LA at night. You see him shooting Skid Row with downtown LA as almost this like specter of disinterest lingering over it. And it's beautiful from second to second visually. And I also think each chapter, which are separated by these tarot names of these tarot cards, and when you go and read some of the stuff on that, it all totally makes sense. As someone who is completely ignorant to tarot, I obviously had to look it up, but it makes a lot of sense when you go and look up what those cards
you don't do
are.
tarot in your spare time?
I'm more of a Ouija guy.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Origin of Evil. I hear.
Yeah.
But I love this movie. It's
good.
A masterpiece.
I think it's interesting you bringing up the modern day LA-ness of it, because that is something that I, on the flip side, find kind of, I think why this sort of like the Twirly trilogy is kind of like his lesser work to me, and why
it's
I
all
kind
contemporary.
of, yeah, I think there's something about Malick's style that the sort of mystical, almost like fantasy memory dream-like aspect of it that lends itself so well to the past, and maybe that's just why, you know, movies like my favorites of his are like Days of Heaven and The New World, and I think there's something about his style that lends itself and gets this sort of like epic grandeur from sort of being in the past, and that connects so much to memory in a way that kind of like these movies, while I think are interesting, they just sort of feel smaller in a way to me. That's kind of why like
I agree with that 100%.
I really look forward to, I'm going to revisit I always forget the name of it. What was the World War II Nazi?
Hidden Life?
Yeah, so like that one I haven't seen since it came out, and I'm definitely going to revisit it before you guys' episode. But like I felt kind of a comeback in him with that one, in that his style lends itself so well to kind of looking into what is so clearly like our past, but it also are passed on this like grand epic scale, whether it's World War II or like the conquering of the West, or you know, the colonization of this country at, you know, back then, and the tensions between the people who are already here and the people who are coming here. I don't know, just all of that I feel like adds an extra layer of emotion that maybe I feel like is kind of missing here. I just think it's interesting you bringing up loving that part of the movie, because that's the one thing I think about these more recent Malick movies that doesn't quite click for me in the same way as some of his like other films.
Yeah, my armchair psychologist take is that he kind of made his ultimate statement with the Tree of Life, and then he was like, I'm going to try something totally new.
Yeah.
And play with form more than theme, which is definitely what he ends up
these
doing.
movies feel so personal to him, and also the Tree of Life feels so personal, so it also feels like this him, you know, this switch point between these sort of like epic historical period pieces that he's doing, and also trying to look inward and sort of wrestle with his own life and his own memories and own sort of regrets and experiences.
Yeah, and there's also something like inherently mythological about looking backwards, that is kind of not there in ways that I actually appreciate with these last set of films before A Hidden Life. But just got to respect the swing, if nothing else. You got to respect the swing, which I know you do.
Oh, it's me.
It's you.
It's
Ryan,
you.
what do you think about this film?
Enter.
What's
your favorite berry?
It's basic, but it's strawberry. Strawberry's like just
okay.
The best berry. It's like when I know the basic pick is just the right pick sometimes.
When are we gonna get a new berry? It's been a while.
I don't know.
They're making new peppers all the time, like science-made peppers.
Yeah,
that is true.
And those are like
growing up in North Carolina, where there's that guy that like made
the pepper
guy. Or like the pepper reaper guy.
Yeah, for no other reason than he was just like, I just want people to be miserable.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a really hot pepper.
Sounds like a Malick movie in the making right there, honestly. Follow the pepper guy.
The pepper guy.
Honestly, I'm surprised he hasn't made a food movie, because a food movie can be a very
spiritual experience.
Quiet experience. Like honestly, was
the first episode, I don't know if either of you watched The Bear, but I mean like the first episode of this most recent season of The Bear kind of was like that show doing a Malick episode in a way that I found kind of thrilling. But I know like some other people that like turned that episode on were like, I'm sorry, what? I thought this was a comedy.
No, I think that, but then like I don't know, like I do think the opening cooking scene in The Taste of Things last year was very similar to that kind of experience. It's taking all the frill away, and it's about cooking in a lyrical way, and I think that's what I love about that movie. That movie is incredible. And speaking of really great movies, I think Knight of Cups is fantastic. And I mean, Jay, you kind of hit it all right on the head. I mean, but I think that this is weirdly a successor and almost like a cousin to The Tree of Life. I mean, that movie is deeply examining, I think, a lot of his childhood in the past there, and I think that this is Malick. I know that, you know, To the Wonders loosely trying to look back on his past marriage and relationship there. I do think that this is looking a lot at his stature in our culture and looking at it also through the lens of somebody that has felt like, whether he's chose that or not, that's how he has been as an outsider of an industry that is built on chaos and loudness. And we've seen that through the history of cinema, of just how, I mean, even more debaucherous locations and settings and scenarios that are than in this movie. But it's really about how someone navigates still through it, for me, that I found to be really fascinating. How do you still try to maybe go back and I was thinking a lot about, there's the one sequence in a film we saw, or we talked about last year, Jay, when we talked about The Master. And there's that sequence where, um, Joaquin Phoenix is doing the processing with Philip Seymour Hoffman, and he's going back to when he left his girl at home. And it's
Mm-hmm.
this older man, but yet he's portraying himself in a younger version.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I felt when I was watching this movie, I was feeling a lot of that Bale feels at times, or like the when he's with like Frida Pinto or he's with Imogen Poots later in this film or earlier in this film. I felt as if like it's kind of floating back through memories of when you were young and when you were old, and then when you had when you were married and the mistakes you made there, or the side relationships that you have that like that he has with Natalie Portman's Elizabeth character in this, and how that a relationship like that can lead to sort of dangerous avenues, and how then there's this film, and I think To the Wonder have this interesting kind of connection about the male character and being a father figure and the complications of that, mirroring, I think, then the responsibility and the fear that he has, and some of the things that he tried to touch on a lot in Tree of Life, which was also a cut scene that we talked about in that episode about that Penn's character was a father. It seemed like there was some scenes with that character and his wife in that film that were not as deeply explored in the theatrical cut as it was in the extended cut. And I feel like he took those chunks of things there and expanded it out to look at his adult life, the decisions. I mean, obviously um there's a look back at a brother and a father, right? And how they're
And
older,
a dead brother.
a dead brother, and so it feels very much like it's, if you wanted to see the continuation of all the themes and everything from Tree of Life, I think that's there. I think also if you just look through the sort of setup of the tarot cards um and what those say, what those tarot cards mean, what those characters mean, sort of love and temptation and death, and then the freedom, which then is actually, more about justice in the end, and what does that say about you and your soul, and how this is your I feel like this is more about, again, his soul sort of dancing through or going through the crowd. And so I found it, again, once again, very lyrical. And I think Bale is just like in Tree of Life. I mean, not Tree of Life, in the New World. Bale's incredible here. Bale's one of the. I want to talk about Bale later, Jay, if that's possible. I think
No,
that. I
sorry.
think that. Sorry, we don't have a choice. I think Bale's one of our great actors that we have. Period. End of story. Just a fascinating guy that can do monologues and go real big and go real ham and can be, a superhero for a generation. And then he can just do these small, floaty, painful character pieces like he does with Malik. And I think this is one of his best performances. And yeah, I think that this is a very underrated film, and people don't talk about it nearly enough because, and I do agree with you, Jesse. I think that there is this, um, we talked about this in one of our episodes that we've already recorded, because we're going a little bit ahead of ourselves here, guys. So I won't repeat myself here, but I do think that there is um, this sense of Malik does a great job with detail, his detailed past, films within his period pieces. And I think that that's some of his strong work. In a movie like A Hidden Life, I think why that reconnected with so many people is because he went back to the specificity of that rather than the looseness that's found within these more, contemporary modern films. While still not, undermining the personality or the personalness that attached to those projects that he found. And I think that that's why A Hidden Life is actually like a really beautiful film.
Yeah.
But I think that, I don't know, there's something about these three films and this one being kind of sandwiched in the middle. Um, they speak to, I mean, about marriage. This is about, I think, him as an artist in lost, being. This is why I think he lives in Texas, because I think I can
Totally.
feel when you're watching this movie, he feels like if I live here, I would die.
Yeah, I mean, it's some.
I have a take on that that's different, but you go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think another thing that's kind of challenging about this movie, for better or for worse, I think Bale reflects so well that I think is also kind of, you know, related to what you're saying, Ryan, is like it's a movie about numbness and about like, being in this environment where, your wildest, it is the sort of debaucherous Fellini-esque depiction of Hollywood, but what happens if you're just sort of like going through that and you're empty and you're like, well, I guess maybe I'll try this, or maybe I date this person, or maybe I have this experience and that'll, make me feel something. And this sort of like confusion of like I'm surrounded by all of this, for lack of a better word, pleasure, but I feel nothing out of it. And something about, the surface level, this movie reflecting, I think, the surface level beauty and kind of endless party and possibilities of Hollywood, while also feeling often as you're watching it like you're at the sort of twilight hours of a party and you're like, everyone really needs to go home, and like you're exhausted and just want to go to bed. Like that's kind of the feeling I feel throughout the movie. And I think part of that is what I find so hard to kind of latch onto about it, but I do think is part of what makes it so personal. And I think it is all very intentional by Malick of like, this is me doing La Dolce Vita in LA, but you're gonna feel just empty the entire time watching it. Like it's about going through that experience and like nothing, no matter who you date, what drugs you try, what parties you go to, you're never gonna fill that hole inside of you.
No, for sure. And I mean, I can tell you this, Jesse, and then Jay, I'll let you go. Is earlier this year, I was in LA for like what was like 2 weeks, going to a bunch of things, and by the end of that experience, I was just ready to get the hell out of there, because there is this artificiality and this like inlet, like you can read it as like the party never stops,
Right.
but I agree with you. It is this thing that at a certain point you're like, no, the party has to stop, because if this continues, I'm going to start feeling more numb and sad and potentially cynical about the situations I'm in. I don't think Malick goes that full way, but there is that. I don't think he goes full cynical, but I do think it gets that spirit of the numbness of this place that is supposed to be a place of dreams and wonder and imagination and creativity, and actually turns into a place of excess and sadness at times. That I think that is he perfectly balances throughout the film, and and that's why when I watched this and I hadn't seen it for such a long time, I was like, I understand this, and I think that if you're an outsider going to a place like this, like LA is always like a great place, I think, to visit for a short amount of time, because you can get like a taste of it. But like if it's a long-term drug, it has a side effect that I think is very dangerous. But anyway, Jay, you were gonna say something earlier.
Yeah, so my take on this movie's relationship with Los Angeles is one that in typical Malick fashion sort of exceeds a purely worldly emotional relationship with the city. I think I think the entire purpose of this film is captured in that last 10 to 15 minutes in a couple of sequences. One is where we have the priest in the church saying, suffering is how we connect with higher beings. And then when he's in the garden with Natalie Portman, there's the guy who's an author, I believe, that Malick admires a lot, who we had come in and just do a day on set. And he says, I just teach this moment, pay attention to this moment. Everything is there, perfect and complete, just as it is. And that quote is indicative of Malick sort of detaching the experience of this film from any temporality we are really familiar with. To your point, Ryan, kind of about the Joaquin Phoenix moment in The Master, where you have this old guy in the navy blues. Um, it's this idea of oneness and this idea of self when looking back with in memory. All that you can kind of realize in that moment is yourself, and in that way, how you are now. You can see everything else from the outside, but yourself is yourself in every moment. And the ability to look backwards at moments and realize that there was a certain divine perfection found within them is as compelling an idea as you will find in a movie. And also this idea that suffering bringing about redemption or spiritual fulfillment, really how that comes to Rick in this film is when he finds out that what may potentially have been his child, Natalie Portman's child, she has a miscarriage. And that is the moment where everything sort of clicks for him. And so for Malick and for Rick, it is this idea that the context of those moments reminds you of the context of the universe. And while he has been numb, he, for the first time in a long time, feels a strong emotion. That emotion is suffering, but as the priest says, that suffering connects us to a higher power. And that, if nothing else, is the message of the film. And it is sort of an accumulation of all of these experiences that we see in the various chapters of the film that lead to that moment. But that is kind of the straw that breaks the camel's back. And you can look at each one of the chapters and pull out important themes in all of them. Like they're all, it's almost like a collection of fables that again stack up to this odyssey by the end of it. But even by themselves, those chapters I think are so compelling. And then when you stack them all together and it creates this transcendental story, it just takes it to an entirely different level while always looking awesome and everybody being really compelling performance wise in the movie. So that's where I like get pretentious and talk about it for a little while.
Now, just so you understand where I've been at these last mere episodes of our...
Yes, like I'm sitting in a college thesis course on Terrence Malick being taught by Jay.
Anyway, what's your favorite berry?
Mine, I don't know. Blueberries are pretty good.
I love a blueberry.
Blueberries are good.
I think the raspberry's underrated. I don't think people talk.
What's your favorite part of this movie?
Mine or Jesse's?
Section. Well, we'll start with you, Ryan.
I think the Blanchett stuff is actually the best part.
It's really good. I think that's a good answer.
I think that's the honestly, Jay, I know this is going to sound like a backhanded kind of thing to say after we just talked about what is a really good movie, I think, in To the Wonder, but it kind of surmises everything kind of perfectly there about that movie and the regrets that film. Obviously, they're doing it with different characters and sort of different settings, and there feels like a different relationship there, and there does feel like again this connection to his past couple of films to sort of tie in the loose threads of this couple. But I don't know, there's just something about the way Bale and Blanchett seem so connected, and yet there's so much pain, and there's just an honesty underneath that pain in those moments, and like when
also this weird mutual respect despite her having so much resentment.
Exactly. There's resentment there, but then there's also there's the thing that when you are with somebody, and you've been with them for a while, and you feel that comfortability that we talked about last week with To the Wonder. It's like why do they keep going back to each other, or why don't they just separate? Well, it's like, yeah, well, it's this chase for comfortability, but she knows every time that they've collided, there's been damage. And I think that that's why when she kind of pushes him away, it was really heartbreaking. I was watching it and it kind of hit me in a weird, and it snuck up on me. I was not expecting it in this movie. I was just like, wow. And also,
But
just, I
that
mean,
but that
it
was one of
helps
those
having
moments
two of the
where it
great
is like, is
actors of
that
all
an
time.
impressionistic memory where it's like, is that emotionally how I felt in that moment? Because that's a weird thing to try in the first place.
Yeah.
And then for her to reject him in that way, is that just an emotional, psychological interpretation of that moment in the same way that, memories, all memories get refracted and transformed over time.
But in that memory, she's the quote unquote judgment card, right?
Yeah. Not like people don't do weird things in Terrence Malick movies.
Exactly. But I think he's looking for that brutal honesty, and she's known him the longest of anyone, outside his
Yeah. The card of judgment.
and so therefore he's asking for it. Like, I think that in To the Wonder, he's searching through his memory of what he did. And in that sequence, I think he's asking his partners, his past lovers, his past wives, his past relationships to judge him finally for who he really is.
Mm-hmm. How about the
Both as an
line,
artist.
"Are you sorry that we didn't have kids? I am."
Yeah.
That one hurt.
Jeez.
Yeah. Which, I mean, again, when in just opposed to like the last couple of films, it's a devastating line. Like, I think that they're all weirdly connected, like a family tree, And I
Oh
know
yeah,
that's a cheesy line, but
it all compounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you which sequence I think is really touching from that is when, because she's a physician, I guess,
Mhm,
and they have I guess they're lepers or
mhm.
some looks like a collection of homeless people come in, and she's so tender after Bale was so judgmental when he was going through Skid Row earlier in the movie. And I think that dichotomy, it is a classic
Is that
Malick move to have this
nature and
like
nurture?
ethereal, yeah, I mean, yeah, nature and grace, I guess. But
Yeah.
this again kind of holier woman who ends up being the guiding light. And I guess in this film, it's a collection of women who end up being the guiding light. And even if some of them are teaching him what not to do, so they're not entirely uh, the Jessica Chastain in the Tree of Life, right?
No, I
That
think
there
that
are
it's
some
more
people with
cautionary than that.
yeah imperfections, and also people who have actively bad ideas that all teach him what ultimately becomes his um, spiritual realization.
Yeah. Jesse, what about you? What's your favorite part of the film?
I mean, it kind of connects to what I said earlier. I think the parts of the movie that click for me the most are the very like Hollywood sections of it, like the big party at Antonio Banderas's place that all the, there's so many like random celebrities that are just
Mm-hmm.
sort of like, you can tell Malik was just like, come over to this house. Um, and like that scene, or even there's one I'm thinking about now that it's just like a very like brief shot. I think that's Bale on set, and he's just kind of like bored, and he's like, I don't know why I'm here. There's like a cowboy with a horse that walks like right in front of the camera, and just all of those moments that are like the weird kind of carnival-esque aspect of working in the movie business in LA, but having the Bale character being someone who's going through and is just like, I don't know why I'm here. I'm like not part of this crowd. I don't know who any of these people. That's the thing I love so much about that party sequence, is it really, I think, hits the nail on the head about like what it's like to be a person at like a massive party like that, where you're just sort of like, I don't know why I got invited to this. I don't know who most of these people are. I'm probably like a little underdressed, getting to that feeling of like everything is fake around me and I feel out of place at the same time. I think those are the moments of
Mm-hmm.
the movie that I feel like I click with the most, and where I kind of get where he's going at, and can very clearly see him as this like idiosyncratic artist that just sort of through a couple very quickly gets thrown into the Hollywood machinery, and then very quickly is like, I don't like this. I don't like being in this town. I don't like being around this people. I'm not who I am. And just sort of enveloping you in the deadness of that. Those are the sequences that I think hit me the most.
And the deadness extends beyond just an emotional numbness, but it also goes to his work. There's a
Yeah.
scene early on in the film where they say, we get it. You didn't finish that last script. It's okay. And they say some comedy star wants you to write a TV show for him or something.
Yeah.
And clearly, despite the fact that he has seemingly gotten everything that he wanted, certainly artistically, and because of that socially and as far as status is concerned, but then because of that, it has distracted him from the whole reason he went there in the first place. And I would imagine from Malick's perspective, it is the killing of that artistic side of himself that kind of trickled down into all the other elements of his life. And I think as much as it is the spiritual rediscovery, I think the spiritual rediscovery goes hand in hand with his artistic process. And so I think that's critical as well when you look at this autobiographically.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like those Hollywood stories you hear. I feel like this is even more common than people bottoming out and not making it or making it big, is like you get the golden ticket, or you work your ass off to get into the business, and you get there, and it's just this like never ending process of development. You know what I mean? Like, where you're like, okay, I'm in the Hollywood studio system. I'm getting to make movies. I'm going to be writing screenplays that are going to get turned into movies. I'll have connections with all these people. And kind of as you hinted at, it's sort of like, I wrote a script and turned into nothing. Then I got asked to write a TV pilot. I got a couple pages in. It got canceled, and then da 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 da. And what is it like to be where you're like, I've technically made it by whatever metric I thought existed, but now I've made it, but I'm not doing any of the things that creatively satisfy me. I'm just sort of caught in this endless cycle of just sort of like things almost coming together, but not really. And I'm just sort of existing, and I'm working, but I'm not actually making anything.
And all of these things that I thought would make me so happy, or at least used to make me happy, like riding around in my convertible with girls and going to these parties and getting hammered at Hollywood pools and stuff. It's just not satisfying in the way that it used to be, and he can't figure out why, because he cannot contextualize his disinterest. He can't figure out what should be driving him, because he seems very stuck artistically in ways that he is not sure he can fully overcome. His love life, he has started just there's clearly a disinterest in any long-lasting romantic relationship except for Portman. And I think kind of what leads to Portman in a lot of ways is the segment. I can't remember if it's one segment right before or maybe a couple. The Frida Pinto segment, I think, is one of the most interesting in the movie.
Yeah.
I also think it's one of the shortest, and not one that I think many people would call out. But the idea of him having romantic feelings for her and her denying him and just saying, I want to have like a platonic, meaningful relationship with you, appears to be the turning point for him to reestablish that true connection with people that he does end up finding with Natalie Portman. Although obviously with Natalie Portman, it's a complicated situation because she's a married woman. And, you kind of just like each complication kind of chips away at his shell that is finally broken through at the end of the film. I would definitely say the Blanchett sequence is probably my favorite. Then other ones I liked. I mean, I did really like the Frida sequence. I like the Teresa Palmer sequence.
Oh,
With the stripper. I think that one's good. And I think what I like so much about that one, when they go to Vegas, Malick really emphasizes the kind of degradation of the religious imagery in Vegas. I don't know that he hates Los Angeles entirely. I am pretty certain he does hate Las Vegas. And I think that comes across in the movie.
It's like if Los Angeles is just this like beautiful vase with nothing inside it, Las Vegas is just like, that's actually hell.
That's
the way he depicts in the movie.
Like, that's where that's
if I
where
have to go there, I'm gonna literally jump off.
In his Jesus movie, Mark Rylance plays the devil, and I heard he lives at the top of Caesar's.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Shut the hell up. I think another sequence I really do like in this movie, or I guess it's two sequences. The stuff with Brian Dennehy, I actually thought was really
Dennehy good. Rocks in this.
He's great.
Good in this movie.
R.I.P.
Yeah, I mean,
what was that movie that he got so many flowers for a couple years ago?
Oh,
Driveways? Is that what it was called?
Driveways. Yeah, Driveways. I think was that not Lights, Camera, Jackson's best movie of whatever year? That
was it? You know what? Lights.
Good, I feel like it was something like that.
He's gonna be on the Hidden Life episode.
Oh my God! Could you have?
Could
you imagine if we actually had him on the Hidden Life episode? What is wrong with you, man?
I wish in my dreams.
Oh man, what a dream guest. No offense, Jesse, but like to talk to
I would be salivating to listen to that episode.
LCJ?
I'm now trying to like
Lights.
I'm trying to like dig back in my memory. There is some
Andrew Hahn is also directed Fire Island. Like he's like, it's not fair. That movie's really good too. Like Han Chow's in it. She's great. It's a good movie. It's a good like little.
What are you digging the recesses of your mind for, Jesse?
Yeah. Well, when I had a podcast show, I think it was during COVID. I did this show where we like covered movies that like had bad Rotten Tomato scores, but we thought were good, or like bombed at the box office or something. And I forget what it was, but there was one that we were always like, yo, what if we got Lights, Camera, Jackson to do this? And it was something that was like super, like I think it was something like absurd, like Claire Denis' Trouble Every Day, like you know, something that was like really hardcore. That was like, what if we got Lights, Camera, Jackson?
I think Lights would have some takes.
Yeah. Doctor, give me the news. I got a bad case of Nida Cups. Truly one of the greatest videos ever.
Dennis Villeneuve has a new. I mean, just
there's no way anytime Villeneuve has a new movie, that's literally the name I think of. It's the way you're supposed to pronounce it. This episode is cursed. My God,
I got my spiel out where I went pretty hard there for about 10 minutes. So
yeah. Well, Jay already took us to school. We already talked about berries. You know.
The bell has rung. It is time to get in the convertible with Matthew McConaughey.
Can we talk about Bale?
In Dazed and Confused.
I would love to talk about Bale.
We didn't give Dennehy enough play, but he's awesome.
Yeah, he's great.
Enough said.
Dennehy's
I want to see those scenes where he's yelling what he's saying. We only get a couple like words.
Yeah, that's one of those people where it's like, who would you not want as your boss chewing you out? And like he's on the list
up
of,
there.
Like, top 5 people.
Definitely.
And judging by that tape, that audio from the Terminator set, Christian Bale probably doesn't want that either.
Though hasn't time been kinder to him? Like, hasn't it come out? That basically,
I think it helps being Batman. You know what I mean? Like,
well, no, yeah,
but
no, I think
stuff come out of like that guy who was like moving the lights, like it was actually dangerous or something, or like it was actually like people have come out being like, yeah, I would have screamed at that guy too. Like, you don't. That's like totally unprofessional behavior.
Yeah, everybody was on Christian's side. Yeah, I think that is how that has ended up working out. David O. Russell and his outburst has not worked out quite as well.
Is it kind of like a Cruise situation on Mission Impossible?
I think it began as a David O. Russell situation, and now it has morphed into a Cruise situation.
Yeah, man, Cruise was.
I forgot it. I actually forgot about that Cruise one.
You forgot about Cruise? How could you not forget about it? He's like, and if I see it, you're done. You're done. It was like I want that as a monologue.
I hate to derail this podcast even more, but have you seen the video of like the Christmas that audio was released, and somebody like synced it up with like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and where it's like Santa down dressing all the elves.
That sounds good.
Like the claymation?
Yes.
Oh my God. That's like your favorite movie, Jay. You love that.
It's a banger.
Those are, yeah, some would say. I mean, like Bale's like one of the great actors we have working today, period. End of story. Like his run in, I mean, I don't need to go down the whole thing, but
what do you think is the best Bale performance? Because I think
that's
is
a good question to
up,
ask.
up for debate more than one would think.
You got to check it out. Vice, of course.
We all rewatch it every election season.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
I think I mean, I do think his work in The Prestige is pretty incredible work. I do think he's fantastic here. You know, I think he's really good in like The New World, obviously. I think he's really great in pretty much everything he's in. Like that's the hard thing. It's like,
yeah, that's what makes it hard.
It's
like
when, you know, when Joaquin Phoenix won that SAG award a couple of years ago when he won it for Joker, and he talked about like Christian Bale, and he said, "Could you just suck just once? It'd be okay. Just suck once."
Yeah,
not wrong, because like even in Ford v Ferrari,
he rules in that.
That's one of my favorite performances.
Also, that movie owns.
Yeah.
His American Psycho performance is kind of undeniable.
That's the one where like I can't even see clips of that like on YouTube and Instagram without like howling with laughter of like that performance is so incredibly funny.
It is.
I mean, Jay, we talked about him on I'm Not There. He's great in that movie.
Yeah.
You know, his Oscar-winning performance in The Fighter. He's very good.
I think he's really good in Public Enemies.
Yeah, he's really good as Melvin Purvis in that movie. You know, he's great in The Big Short. Like I know people give a lot of shit to that movie, but I think he's actually really good.
He's one of the better parts of that movie. Yeah. Like he's one of the few parts of that movie where it feels like this. I feel like I'm experiencing a real person's story, not Adam McKay, you know, lecturing me.
What did you guys think of Hostels?
Never saw it.
I remember falling asleep in the theater watching it, but no shot against him.
That's his guy, though. Yeah, Scott Cooper is his guy.
Yeah, they made what, 3 movies together?
I don't think he should be working with Scott Cooper anymore. I mean, maybe if they like their kids hang out and it's just like a fun, you know, friendship relationship, that's fine. But like, talk about someone who I think just makes like straight up boring movies.
He's good in Rescue Dawn too.
Did he play Moses in Exodus?
He sure did.
He sure did, buddy.
The worst Ridley Scott movie.
Yeah, he sure did. Yeah, I mean, he worked with Scott Cooper on Out of the Furnace, Hostels, and The Pale Blue Eye. Jay, did you ever see The Pale Blue Eye?
No, missed that one.
That's the Edgar Allan Poe one, right?
The Edgar Allan Poe movie. Yeah.
Any good?
Can I ruin the twist for you?
Yeah, you can. I'm never gonna watch it.
Bale's the serial killer all along.
Oh,
damn it! We should have put spoiler alert on that one.
That movie, nobody remembers that movie.
I honestly was like, for a half second, I was like, wait, was he? I'm
actually will, you know, I will not be surprised if someone ends up like calling me out on this episode for that being totally wrong, because I kind of also don't remember much about that movie.
So, Jay, do you want to know what he's doing next? Do you know?
I would love to.
He is going to play Frankenstein's monster.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Maggie Gyllenhaal's the bride, which is
it Jesse Buckley is the bride?
It's him, Jesse Buckley, Penelope Cruz, Peter Sarsgaard, Annette Bening.
Is this like a like MonsterVerse movie? Like, is this like a Universal thing?
No, it's like her own. It's like her own.
Oh.
It looks like her own thing. It doesn't even look like it's. She's drawing inspiration from them, but she's not.
What?
From the 35 film, from the 1935 film, Bride of Frankenstein. So it's that. John Margolis in it. Looks like Jake might be in it, her brother.
That's a Warner Brothers.
It's a hell of a cast. It'll be out next September.
I can't wait for that. He doesn't work that much. He doesn't work that much anymore.
No, he's not been doing much, nor does he need to. He's like,
I found his GQ profile from I forget if I think it was around when the Thor movie came out, but like his kind of admission of just sort of like I'm kind of just a dad most of the time, and him being like, I don't even watch that many movies, and it really just sort of seems like a thing of like he only does it if he wants to do it anymore, and he's kind of like he's not one of these like super plugged in Hollywood people. Like he's kind of only really interested if it's something that like someone really convinces him to do. Otherwise, he it's funny to see like how little he seems to engage in that machinery.
But he doesn't seem also
Makes him
like
perfect
somebody
for this movie.
Well, he doesn't seem also like somebody though that he doesn't mind a transformation or being pulled out of it, but he does seem like somebody that would show up and not, hang indie producers on the call for hundreds of, for a couple.
Well, I also think he has a little bit. He has a little bit of this Daniel Day-Lewis thing where he seems to take pride in torturing himself a little bit.
Yeah, he does do that. Like there was that whole thing with him going back and forth on like the Machinist is a movie. Like the way his body looked in that, he should be dead. Like how he then put on the muscle to then play Batman.
Yeah, that's insane.
Is ridiculous.
Who's skinnier, Bale in The Machinist or Fassbender in Hunger?
Was McConaughey that bad too in Dallas Buyers?
Oh no way.
No.
I mean, I haven't seen
like
the
buff in comparison.
I haven't seen The Machinist.
I think The Machinist is the far worst.
My memories of Fassbender in Hunger are like I'm amazed that this man like actually didn't die. And
I just remember the rib cage.
Well, there's the famous shot that everybody points to from The Machinist. Yeah. And where he's like, not only is he skinny, but he's like sucking his stomach in and it's hunching over.
Yeah, it's kind of, it kind of freaks me out. That's why, like, I thought, not to make another point of this, but that's why I thought like Joaquin Phoenix doing that for Joker. I was like, I've seen The Machinist. I've seen somebody do this before, dude.
I think Joker, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Joaquin was doing a bit of business in that performance.
Do you think somebody had to make sure that he stayed on set?
Man, you know what we haven't talked about? How about Joaquin just sticking it to Todd Haynes?
Yeah.
Because if the world needed to stick it to somebody, it's Todd Haynes.
Former podcast subject, Todd Haynes.
Our first of this podcast.
Yeah.
And we were, you know what? I got to say this.
If anything,
shame on him.
That story made me just like 10 billion times. Like I started to think of who are the people Phoenix has worked with multiple times. And it's like Paul Thomas Anderson, M. Night Shyamalan, and Todd Phillips. Like what is the secret juice that like, oh, and I guess James Ridley.
Ridley. Yeah.
But like what is the secret juice that all these people have that like they can somehow tame him? Because there's also those stories of like Ari Aster talking about like him being just not just odd on the set of
Beau is
Afraid and this kind of weird relationship with them where like you can tell that Phoenix doesn't want to be treated like a famous person, but like
I don't think he wants to do movies anymore.
Yeah, it sort of seems like it's similar to the Daniel Day-Lewis Christian Bale thing of like it seems like he put so much just effort into everything that
it
like
feels like ever since he won that Oscar.
Yeah.
From what the reports have read. And what I've read or what the reports have been written.
I don't know if you don't want to make movies if you make Beau is Afraid.
But he also had to be
because he wasn't getting his quote for Beau is Afraid.
Beau is Afraid, Napoleon, and now this, and the Joker sequel. He had to be literally convinced. And this was the one time where the convincing didn't work. I mean, there's been the reports that like he had to get PTA to come and do certain like rewrites. How much of that actually is true or not?
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of like, please, like a lot of begging that seems to go on. Bale, you don't hear that. You don't hear that about Bale.
No.
He's like, he just won't do it. But if he does it, he's like, okay, I'll do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he puts himself into it. Like Daniel Day-Lewis, he's officially retired, but he is completely like, if you read when we did the PTA series, by the time he did Phantom Thread, he was so immersed in that process, there was no way for him not to do it anymore. You know what I mean? So
he sounds similar to Phoenix in that like it takes like a very particular kind of person just to sort of like wrangle him. And there's only like a handful of people, and somehow it ranges from everyone from Paul Thomas Anderson to Todd Phillips, like have figured out how to, you know,
but what's so weird about
how to wrang this like wild animal, or just this like acting tour de force into their movie, and keep him occupied. And whereas Bale, I guess, just seems like, you know, someone where he just sort of innately knows like I can't do anything that's not like 110%, and I'm just going to be picky about what I choose to put.
There's a certain amount of guilt from every single one of them. I think that what Phoenix has showed here is that there is a little bit more of selfishness rather than guilt there, because to bring an entire project and then literally lay the bill at the feet of two of the more well-respected indie producers and filmmakers, and Christine Valjean and Todd Haynes, is completely irresponsible. Also, his wife had a good relationship with Todd Haynes because they worked on Carol together. And so it's really weird. I mean, now they're trying, I mean, like the latest is like they're trying to figure out like, or they did try to figure out if they could recast it, but because the character is specifically written for what seems like a white guy, that have to, you know, get an A-lister to do it. It's got a lot of baggage now to it.
Yeah.
Haynes wants to do it, but you know, I feel bad for the other actor, the Top Gun guy, you know, Daniel Ramirez. I feel bad for him because it's like I'm about to have like maybe a Charles Melton kind of breakout role here, and this guy doesn't want to come to set, and he wrote the script and everything. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of messed up. I just don't think like Bill also has worked with like, I mean, he's worked with Ridley, and he's worked with Nolan, and he's worked with Mangold, and he's worked with Herzog, and he's worked with Malick. He's worked with all these directors.
I will say, not the most impressive director list of all time. I mean, he did Michael Mann.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so like Mann.
Has he done a Spielberg or he's definitely done a Spielberg.
Haynes. He's worked with Haynes twice.
Yeah.
The Goldmine. And
I guess I just think of him as like the guys that he's really attached himself to. He's a David O. Russell guy.
Yes.
He's a Scott Cooper guy.
He's a Nolan guy.
He's an Adam McKay guy.
4 Nolans. That's a Nolan guy.
Yeah, but Batman kind of counts as one.
Okay, sure. I mean, he does.
So 2 Nolans.
So 2 Nolans, if you want. I mean, 1 6-hour, 7-hour Nolan film, and the other is The Prestige. Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Scott Cooper's his guy. He's worked with Mangold. Yes, he's worked with David O. Russell, McKay, right? And then, yeah, I mean, he's done a couple of voice works for Miyazaki films. I know that doesn't count. I'm just saying.
The thing that
counts. I argue that counts, considering
Does that count?
how
Okay, cool.
intentional his voice casting in The Boy and the Heron,
and is. Also in House.
Yeah. I mean, the Boy and the Heron thing was like, I don't know if you know this, in Japan, the guy who voiced that role in Boy and the Heron also voiced Hal in Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh, so that's why it
was a very deliberate. Yeah, there's a lot of kind of like some of the people who have voice parts in that movie that have appeared in other Miyazaki films. It was like a deliberate intent to like mirror who is doing the voices in the Japan version.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And the other thing you forget about Bale, which I don't know how he has transcended this and some others really don't. He's been famous since he was like 12.
Yeah, he's been in news.
Yeah.
Empire of the Sun, he was 12.
The rare child star that seems to be fine.
Well, and I think also too about Phoenix, not to like circle back to that, but his brother was in the limelight at such a young age. There's tragedy and all that stuff around there. But at a certain point, there's like, you know, you could just be like Bale and be like, I don't want to do something and take some time off, like be with your family, be with your kids.
Well, he did that, but
know?
he just did like a crazy performance art thing.
Yeah, he did do that. That's fair. No, but I mean, like he's made like a bunch of movies. It's like the last couple of years. It's like literally Bale took 3 years off of his career and didn't make anything from 2019 to 2022 from in terms of releases. So like he did take a time off a little bit. So I think that's, you know, where I know we're going in circles there. But
where are we at on Joker 2?
It'll either be amazing if they pull it off and it's like a legit good musical, and I will take back every negative thing I've ever said about Todd Phillips, or it will just reaffirm everything that I've said, that he's just a pretentious hack.
I think
we'll see.
I think that Variety interview is the latter, not the former.
Okay. I haven't read the Variety interview.
Please go. It is one with a man's head so already far up his ass.
I believe one of the quotes I saw was that it's not really a musical. It's more about him saying his dialogue through song.
Which is a fucking musical.
And I'm like,
that's a musical.
He's like, by no means, this isn't In the Heights, but I loved In the Heights. And it's just like, dude, honestly, that interview was the problem with how people sell musicals. Is that
I've heard the movie also opens with an animated sequence.
Yeah. It's like,
all right, now we're talking.
I mean, here's the thing. You know what was funny? Somebody was telling me the other day. You guys watch you guys have been to the movies a lot, like I have. So you guys have seen the trailer for Wicked, right?
Yes.
Yeah, looks awesome.
If I told you that was a musical and people didn't know what, you know, it was just a random person, you couldn't tell by that trailer because there's no fucking music in that music.
Well, no, they do that in all, they do that in all the stuff now.
Yeah. I'm glad you've brought this up because I legit have not known whether they were adapting the book, the book or the musical. I assumed it was the musical because your two leads are singers.
Ariana Grande, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think if they wanted to get an actress for a book adaptation, they wouldn't have cast Ariana Grande.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What do you mean? She was great on that Nickelodeon show.
Can you name it without looking it up?
It's I believe it's Allie and something. Or something and Allie.
After my Nickelodeon time, I wouldn't know.
I'm still watching Nickelodeon all the time.
Well, you got.
Do you know there's a
Next Generation?
Did you know that there's a Patrick Star show now? Like he has his own show.
Good for him.
Yeah,
she was on
Getting Up from Under That
Victorious?
Rock.
That was she was on the main one was like And Allie or something.
Sam and Cat?
AJ and Allie?
Sam and Cat, that's it.
So I'm looking this up, folks. I do not have this off the top of my memory.
Sam and Cat. And in that show, she talks like with this.
She still does.
Even worse. Even worse.
Oh, even worse?
She's watered it down.
She probably was, 15 years old when she did
something
that
like
show?
that.
Good God. Yeah, I think the movie looks bad, and I think Joker.
Oh my God, it looks so bad.
It looks
so rubbery.
And the thing is, they're hiding from everyone is that it's a part one. You know what I mean? So
yes, which now I've been asking everyone I know who has seen the musical because
part two sucks. Part two sucks.
That's the thing. Is like I've heard that like the second half of the musical is like a total bummer.
It's a bummer. It's a retcon of the Wizard of Oz, which should go over great with audiences. I think the thing about it that just kind of makes me it's
like all the most famous songs from that musical are in the first half too. From what someone
it's going to end on Defying Gravity, and then there's not going to be a damn good song in the second half. Yeah, it's stupid. They should only have it be one 3-hour movie or have an intermission. It's just a bad move. Anyway, Night of Cups. What a great movie to talk about. Do you guys have anything else you guys want to mention about this movie before we wrap it up?
There's one part when they go to Vegas, and I would like this goes along with the fact that I think this is the funniest Terrence Malick movie. That does not mean it is like a funny movie, but it for me has the most humor in a Terrence Malick movie.
Like funny
like a clown.
Yeah.
There's a scene in Vegas where they're in that just like abandoned lot, the dirt lot, and behind them is an advertisement for Chris Angel Believe, his show. And I like to imagine that Malik was like, it's very funny if I have Believe in the background of one of my shots, but it's for a Chris Angel show.
Now I'm imagining Terrence Malick like at home in Austin, just like crushing episodes of like Chris Angel Mind Freak.
Oh, Mind
Oh,
Freak.
man,
Those
Mind
were the
Freak.
times.
Not Mind Freak. Oh my God. God. Yeah. That's a great observation, Jay.
Also,
Jesse-
Rick is one of the most passive characters in cinema history.
You think so?
Yeah.
Probably true.
Yeah.
But I think what that does is he makes him an audience surrogate where you can project your experiences onto the character and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. I will say though, I know we were making jokes about Barry's and Banderas, but I also thought he was just like,
Oh, Banderas. Never talked about him.
He's just
Underrated as ever.
he's just having a good time.
Star of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
I was gonna say Puss in Boots too. Do you think they're gonna bring him back for Shrek 5?
Oh, they got to.
Wasn't
Yeah.
Shrek canceled?
No, why
No,
was
Shrek's coming back. Apparently,
No, like the person.
You mean Mike Myers?
Mike
No,
Myers?
Shrek, the person.
Why
The ogre.
I hope
Why?
Shrek is canceled.
I thought he
This is a long-standing bit with me is that I just like do not get Shrek. Like it just seems like it's like
Don't talk to Al Pacino then.
donkey.
okay. Well, it's just like one of those like early 2000s things. It's like Limp Bizkit. It's like we all
Whoa,
experienced
wait
it,
a
but it
minute.
just sort of like it just needs to just exist in that
you-
time period.
You just compared Shrek and Limp Bizkit together?
I stand by that. Can you believe that the first ever like best animated feature Oscar went to like a movie that basically like opens with a storybook and then like all of a sudden
Flushing
Mike
it
Myers
down
going
the toilet.
and then like wiping his ass and like coming out to Smash Mouth like
Well,
that's
yeah, that's
parody
the-
at this
I
point.
mean, it's super
And then,
deliberate. It's super
the
deliberate.
first line that he delivers is, "What a bunch of," and then in the toilet flush
Yeah.
to censor the curse word.
Well, I mean, it
and,
is.
and is it a good performance? Because is it not just him doing Fat Bastard again from
Fat
Austin
Bastard and
Powers?
his
The
dad's
axe murderer.
the character of
Oh,
his
that's
dad
right.
in How I Married an Axe Murderer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, I will say, I mean, I do think that opening is very deliberate because.
Or
it is-
no, it's not How I Married an Axe Murderer. What is it?
So I married an.
No, that's
Axe
what
Murderer.
So I
called.
Married an Axe Murderer. So I
Um,
Married an Axe
We get
Murderer.
the titles right on the show.
I
But
bet
it is-
how I Murdered an Axe Murderer is probably a pretty short story. They probably had like a wedding.
Or it's like a new Chandra Rhimes television show on ABC that my wife will watch. Because it's like How to Get Away with Murder. Anyway, no, I think that wasn't it that Shrek was made by all the people that essentially got fired from Disney, and like,
Yes,
it was
correct.
Their,
Yes.
it was like their reaction to that, and that's why I think that the movie's great because.
And then it started a bad trend of cheeky cheeky children's animation, but it's for the grown-ups too.
Hey, I think the first two Shreks are pretty great, and I think.
But you could argue what really started that was Aladdin.
Yeah, but I
That
think
is true.
3 and 4 are terrible, and but
I remember liking 2 a lot. I tried to rewatch
really
1, or actually I did rewatch 1. It just looks so bad.
It looks, yeah, I rewatched it during the pandemic and like all, you know, that statue of I think it's, who's the soccer player that has the statue where he looks like
Ronaldo?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how all the people look in Shrek. Like all the animated people, they look like the
Ronaldo
like
statue.
deformed guy from the Goonies. Like
Yeah.
they're like the
they look like
eyes and
computer
the
graphics
mouth are
from
not
the
in
early
right
2000s.
places.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
They look melted.
Yeah, they look extremely melted. All right, Jay.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, we're going to test your award season knowledge based on the film we just reviewed in a segment we like to call "It's an Honor to Get Nominated." Jay, Night of Cups. It premiered in Berlin in 2015. Came out in the States in 2016. All right. So they had a
2-year
whole
editing process for this one. Really,
Yeah.
really quick turnaround for him.
Would you or was it nominated for any Oscars?
Negative.
That's correct. Would you nominate it for anything?
Everything. Hold on,
This-
let me
You know what this year
let me
was?
pull up the old this year's Oscar winner. Hold on, let me think. Okay, so this would have been 2016.
Yeah,
The ceremony would have been in 2017.
that's correct.
Is this Shape of Water?
No, you're a year ahead. So go back 1 year.
So the year before Shape of Water. Oh my God.
This is an easy one.
Is it?
It's a little movie called Moonlight.
Oh, Moonlight.
Like one of the most memorable
That's a good one.
ceremonies ever.
Yeah.
A great win. That was the year of Moonlight, Arrival. Fence. We talked about this year with Arrival when we did the Villeneuve series. Fences, Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water, Hidden Figures, La La Land, Lion, Manchester by the Sea. And that was the lineup. The director lineup was Damien Chazelle, obviously, Denis Villeneuve or Denis Villeneuve, as we have said earlier on this podcast. Mel Gibson, Kenneth Lonergan, and
Melly
Barry
Mel.
Jenkins. Yeah.
Mel's been coming up a lot on the pod.
You have been, he sneaks his way back on these episodes. Him and Caviezel.
You guys gonna do a Gibson series next?
Honestly,
I'm not lying. I'm gonna be honest. That would be really interesting.
Yeah, I can't wait for the comment section on that. I'll tell you that.
I think we're gonna do one, and then Ryan is gonna quickly put all of those episodes into his trash folder, into his recycle bin.
I mean, like, here's the thing: there's just like certain directors you just can't do because no matter how interesting their films.
That's only 3 movies, right?
Four,
right?
What's the
Braveheart.
4th one?
Braveheart,
Passion of the Christ, Apocalypto, and Hacksaw Ridge.
Oh, how could I forget Hacksaw Ridge?
That's the movie we're literally talking about right now.
Wow.
Hacksaw Ridge, which was like nominated for like 6
An insanely gory movie about a pacifist.
Yeah, because when it got to the action, he was just like, kill them all.
Right,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
And then I mean,
He was supposed to do a Wild Bunch. I was actually in on
That's
that.
what he should do.
Yeah.
As much as I don't want someone to remake
no,
the
he should
Wild
do.
Bunch, but
He should do something. He should do a Peckinpah Western. He should be.
That's what he need. I mean,
He was gonna do.
Mel Gibson doesn't need to do anything.
Yeah, no, he
Mel Gibson really doesn't need to do anything. Mel Gibson should probably just
go away.
retire. But if he's going to direct, he doesn't need to be doing The Passion 2. He needs to be doing like a Sam Peckinpah movie, like you said.
He was done. He was gonna be the Wild Bunch starring Michael Fassbender, and I was in.
Damn, that would have been. That would have been good.
I would give this picture director. Hard to give it an acting nom.
You would give this picture over Moonlight?
Oh no.
Nomination.
Nominee.
Okay. Oh, they were giving wins out. I'm like, Jesus, Jay.
No, I'll kick out. Which one do I want to kick out? We don't need Lion.
You don't.
Yeah, you can get rid of Lion.
Nobody talks about Lion.
We don't need
I
Lion.
haven't even seen Lion.
Well,
and
I saw Lion. This was the time when I was seeing absolutely everything.
I would kick out Lion. I kick out
Fences is okay.
Fences.
Oh, Hacksaw Ridge. Hacksaw Ridge is.
Hacksaw Ridge.
I would kick out Hacksaw Ridge, not just because of the optics, just because it is one.
I still think I'd probably kick out Lion.
I mean, like if I kick out multiple ones.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
I kick out.
I mean, Fences isn't that good.
I wouldn't kick out Hidden. I would kick out Hidden Figures.
Yeah, you can kick that one out.
I'm
fine keeping Fences, but get rid of it.
This is one where it could have just been 5. It could have been like Moonlight, Arrival, Hell or High Water, La La Land, and Manchester.
It's a pretty dang good director lineup. Kick out Melly Mel, put in Malik. You got yourself a stew going.
I do like Lonergan's. I do like Manchester by the Sea.
Manchester by the Sea is so good.
Super good.
So good.
It's a rough watch though. It's one of the Jay, you know how
I've only seen it twice and I cried both times.
I've seen it twice. Jay's when years ago, Jay, you and we talked about McQueen. We might do McQueen down the road. That would actually be really good.
Stevie McHugh.
Yeah. And we talked briefly about how like 12 Years a Slave and how like it's just like you've seen it. I don't know if I'm going to watch it again just because it's a lot to take in as a movie. Same as with Manchester.
No, Manchester by the Sea is funny.
It is.
That's
funny.
the magic of Manchester by the Sea.
But I know what's coming. That's the problem.
About how we all laugh at funerals secretly.
It is an extraordinarily watchable movie until it stabs you
yeah.
in your
It's a
skull
slow,
and
it's a
drags
slow
that
knife.
knife down
Yeah.
through your abdomen.
But
Yeah,
then
I
it
can't
builds
watch
you
it.
up to where like the smallest act of kindness at the end of like Casey Affleck just being like, "Hey, you want to come stay with me for a weekend?" is like I'm sobbing in the theater because
No.
it's just like the most like decent human thing.
Where's
Yeah,
Hedges?
Lonergan's an absolute stud.
Where's Hedges?
Like he just went to college.
He's on Broadway, right? Like he's basically become
He's
a stage
27
actor.
years old, Jay. He didn't just go to college.
No, I think for a while he went to
Oh,
college.
okay. I was like, Jay, he didn't just
But
go
now
to
I think
college.
you're right. He is doing
Because he's been in a few Lonergan plays, right?
yeah, I believe so.
Because he took like 4 years off. In 2020, he had the French
4 years
accent,
off. Interesting.
And okay, fuck you. And then he did Let Them All Talk. And then this year, he was in Shirley. You know what Shirley is?
It's a Shirley MacLaine biopic.
No, it's about. You're gonna sound like it's about Shirley Chisholm, the first Black woman to be elected to the United States Congress, and she ran for president in 1972.
Is Regina King in that?
Yes, it's Regina
Okay.
King. It's written and directed by John Ridley, Lance Reddick, Andre Holland, Regina King, Lucas Hedges.
I remember Netflix
Terrence
recommending
Howard.
it to me right next to Is This
Yeah, this
Fake?
is what I knew he was. I knew he was in. He Brokeback Mountain
Yeah, he was on
on the West End.
in the
Oh
West
yeah, it was
End,
him and
Brokeback.
Mike Feist, right?
Yeah,
We're in it
because he
together.
plays the Ennis character. He plays the Heath character. That's kind of great. And then
What else would I give it? I'd give it cinematography.
Gotta give it some.
I would give it editing.
We
You
never
almost
talk
can't not give a Malick movie editing.
We never talk about this, but man, it should really get sound. Malick's movies should have a ton
Agreed.
of sound nominations.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed. I could do that.
Like ridiculous how these movies don't like just Michael Mann movies and Terrence Malick movies. There's no other films that have better sound. I'm sorry.
Having rewatched all
Fincher,
of David
too.
Lynch's movies recently,
Yeah.
the idea that David Lynch just like isn't taking home a sound Oscar every time he has a movie out, even for Twin Peaks: The Return, that they just weren't like, sorry everyone else, I know it's TV, but we're gonna give it to David again.
Still can't believe I still think of that night when Ron Howard won for A Beautiful Mind, and you got Altman and Lynch sitting there in the audience being like, well, they win with that, you know.
Man,
So,
a lot of the research for this was a lot of the stuff I read was Jack Fisk talking about the difference between working with David Lynch and working with Terrence Malick, and I was just salivating. It was some of the best reading I've ever done.
it was about what, David Lynch working with Terrence Malick?
Oh no, Fisk, Jack Fisk.
Oh, Jack Fisk. Oh, okay. Fisk
The
likes to talk.
The differences between working with them, yeah.
Yeah.
And mostly he's just like, yeah, Malick's kind of freewheeling.
Yeah. Jesse,
Yeah.
thank you for coming on this show.
Thank you guys for having me. This
Did we
so much
convince
fun.
you?
Did we convince you to watch or to love Night of Cups?
You know what? You convinced me to possibly watch it again this weekend.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. We also convinced him what the best berry was.
I'm still gonna stick with blueberries, but you know,
Actually, I'm gonna change my answer. Kyogen.
Oh.
Was it Saltburn? Was it the ending of Saltburn?
No, it's the music video for What's Her Name.
Oh, no, wait a minute. Don't say it, Jesse. For What's Her Name? I'd like you, old man, to say her name.
All right, so she has what's it called? Espresso? Is that the name of the song?
Yeah.
Very good
Okay.
song.
Yeah.
Very good song. Very
And
catchy.
her name is
Don't you look it up. Don't
I'm not
you
looking.
do it.
I promise you, I'm not looking it up. Oh, it's in my it's right in the front of my
your
brain.
Gen Z listeners are on the edge of their seat right now.
I'm sitting here just kind of astonished how you don't know. I mean, I want him to mess up. I want him to say the wrong name. Just because there's so many.
I'm also going through an existential crisis of like, would I know who this is if I didn't like work with a bunch of, have a bunch of Gen Z
Kids,
female coworkers?
See, the thing is, I keep thinking of fake names to say, and it's messing me up from actually thinking of who the name might actually be. I mean, you're gonna.
It does sound like a fake name, though.
It does sound like a fake name.
You're gonna tell me, and I'm gonna be like, well, I knew that, but just give it to me.
Sabrina Carpenter.
Sabrina Carpenter, of course. She of the Carpenters.
Is that also just like the best like Halloween name to have?
Yeah.
You think of like Sabrina the Witch and John Carpenter of like I can't hear her name without
That's
thinking
a good
like
Halloween costume.
She needs to do just like a spooky soundtrack.
Yeah.
She's got goth.
Are you talking about the Please 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 song? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the one that he's in, right?
Yeah, that's
they're dating.
Because that's the one. Well, I mean, they're on and off is what people say.
They are both short.
Yeah, he's like
she's like 5'0".
No, she's 4'11" and he's like 5'5", I think, or something.
Tom Cruise size.
Yeah, he's a little guy. Yeah, that's been. I want to go through like the top 10 on the Billboard charts with Jay one day, just to see how that would go.
Actually, I kind of do that.
Episode.
I kind of do that regularly just to see how
many
oblivious I am,
how out of touch you are.
Are you looking it up right now? Well, while you're looking that up, Jesse, can you tell everyone where they can find you and all your work on the internet? And can you give us and our listeners a recommendation?
Meanwhile, the last song I listened to is Blues Traveler.
There you go.
So it's going great.
A movie recommendation does not have to be a 2024 release. It can be something maybe classic that you've seen, a movie that you're really vibing with right now that you hope all of our listeners can check out.
Oh, so I'm going to, it ties into, I've been on a big like Bob Dylan kick lately. Mm-hmm. I'm actually not looking forward to the Timothée Chalamet movie, but that's a whole different conversation.
Neither are we.
But in doing so, I've also been on a Sam Peckinpah kick, and both of those things merged this past weekend. And I watched, there's the new cut that Criterion has released of Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. Amazing movie. Speaking of like things that have like low scores on Rotten Tomatoes that I was just like, I guess the theatrical version is like that bad, but like how bad could it be? But like I just found it's got all of the sort of visceralness that like is that even a word?
Yeah.
People know
viscerality.
But yeah, the viscera of that you want out of a Sam Peckinpah movie, but there's something I think so emotional about it, and with the like Bob Dylan soundtrack that accompanies the movie, and it just being about the ending of kind of the quote Wild West, and these two men who are friends but are now find themselves on opposite ends of the law, and this sort of almost like it's less of an action movie and more like a Heart of Darkness, Apocalypse Now journey of Pat Garrett having to, over the course of the movie and, encountering these different people along the road, sort of having to rationalize like, I got to go kill my best friend. And on the other end, Billy the Kid being like, my days are clearly numbered, and like the psychology of both of those men, and then the way that kind of collides in the ending. I was just like, I was tearing up by the end of it. So a movie that I wonder if now with like a new cut being released by Criterion, and there being like a nice 4K Blu-ray, if we're gonna go through a reappraisal on film Twitter of stuff of like, what, Pat Garrett, Billy the Kid, actually really, really good, and like one of the like top tier Sam Peckinpah movies with like Wild Bunch and Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia and all of those great ones.
Yeah. One I owe a rewatch, because right now I am one of those people where I'm like, this is mid-tier Peckinpah for me, but yeah. I've seen Defenders popping up in the last couple of years. I definitely owe it a rewatch, and congratulations on a Peckinpah binge. That's just a good time.
So good.
Jesse, we've gone through this whole episode. We
haven't talked about the most important part.
We haven't talked about the most important part of why you're here.
Well, first I should say of where people can find my stuff. You can
let's do that.
On YouTube, just search for Real Time Review, but spell real not as that's a real boy, Pinocchio. Spell it real like a film reel. Okay. And and I encourage you to watch all of the episodes, because currently we're in a position right now where the show might get canceled. It might be canceled by the time this goes up. But it's been a really fun show to do, and I'm very blessed that the people that I work with have let me do it. What was I have a special announcement. So I sent you guys, well, I'm going to send you guys. I wanted to end this episode on a bang. So, and I wanted to use the dreaded AI for something positive in the world. So, I created an AI song for Mr. Terrence Malick that I just hope will bring good vibes out into the world, and hope will, if he's scrolling through his Spotify and he comes across this podcast, I just hope he hears that song and knows that even though I didn't write a single lyric or bar to that it really represents how much his movies have meant to me over my lifetime.
Where do you think Malik is on AI?
You know what? I bet he has a pretty contrarian take. I don't know what that is, but I bet he has a really outside the box take on it.
The greatest AI take I've heard was I went to this screening of Assassination of Jesse James, and Roger Deakins was there.
Yeah, you've said this.
And during the Q&A segment, somebody stood up and asked, "Hey, I go to the local art school and I'm a cinematography student, and I just think it would be really awesome if you could reassure us that AI cannot replace us and that it's not the future of cinematography." And Deakins is just like, "I don't know. It's pretty useful, actually. I mean, it has a lot of potential."
And didn't his wife go like, "Jesus, no"?
Right? Oh yeah, his wife was like, "Roger,"
like give him hope.
That sounds like a James Cameron quote on it I saw pretty recently, where Cameron was just like really bullish and was like, "I mean, it's a fucking tool. I'm gonna
gonna use it. You know what I mean?
AI doesn't do shit. I tell the AI what to do or something like
get out of your mom's basement with this AI nonsense." Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, I have not listened to this song, and neither has Jay, but you all will, and it's honestly,
I'm excited. I can't wait to listen to it.
I can send it right now if you want to listen to it live.
I mean, we're not going to listen to it live, but we will post show listen to it all together, because there's no way I'm not going to listen to this song before the end of this night of recording is officially over. Jay, where can we find you and all of your work on the internet?
Letterboxd, J Ledbetter, Twitter at Mr. J Ledbetter, anything I might be writing over at awardswatch.com. I'll tell you, I haven't listened to the Malik song yet, but I have listened to 8 of the top 10 songs on Spotify. So
what are they as of right now?
Good Luck Babe, number 1.
Who sings Good Luck Babe?
That is Chappell Roan. Okay. And here's my contrarian take. I don't get it.
What?
I don't get it.
You don't get it?
I don't get the Chappell Roan thing.
Jay, you're gonna probably get fired. You might want to just say you do get it.
All right, I get it.
Okay, thank you.
Ryan convinced me. I get it now.
Thank you.
Who by Jimin? You know what that is?
No.
I don't either. It's number 2.
I don't know what any of these are.
Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish.
I heard that song. That's a good song.
I have not heard that one.
You haven't heard her new album?
Jay, I had some help. The Post Malone Morgan Wallen song.
Okay. Do you like that?
That song?
Yeah.
It's okay.
Do you like Post Malone?
I think he's very interesting.
Okay. So you get him.
I get his appeal.
Okay.
Kind of.
Okay.
But he's not like that good at anything, but he tries everything, which I think is interesting.
Okay. Like a jack of like a master of none.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of a Aziz Ansari situation.
Well, okay. All right. Never mind.
Please, please, please.
Okay. Who's that?
A bar song, parentheses, tipsy.
Okay. Who's
that
Please,
song's
Please,
kind of
Please
bad. I
again?
don't like that song.
That is Nicolette Johnson.
Uh, who's the bar? Here's the tipsy song.
Shabuzi.
Shabuzi. That's right.
I was having a conversation about that song at work with my Gen Z compatriots,
Did you
and
tell
they
them
did
your
not.
chaperone takes as well?
I have not yet.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll go well over the water cooler.
They did not realize that a bar song is a play on Tipsy from when we were younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody knew that. I was like, do
Tipsy,
you know that that is a play on an old rap song? And they said, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Tipsy, good song.
Not Like Us, Song of the Summer, Kendrick Lamar.
One of great songs the last 10 years.
Espresso by Nicolette Johnson.
Nicolette Johnson.
Hot to Go, another Chapel Roan.
Yep.
HOTGOGO. HOTTOGO.
And
number 10, $1 million dollar baby, which is a banger.
Okay. Do you know how to do the Hot to Go dance? He's doing it. He's doing HOTTOGO.
I don't know what the G is.
You just do like a G. You know? This is great for a audio only podcast.
Anyway, listeners can do it along with you. It's okay.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Recommendation
for the week.
Watched Zootopia with my son. Okay. Enjoyed it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, good movie. Liked it then, like it now.
Does he have a favorite movie?
Right now it's Wall-E.
What a wonderful child.
Good movie. Yeah, he's doing great.
He's got great taste already.
Yeah, he's destined for a life of slow cinema because he likes the first half more than the second half.
Only the finest Pixar.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Ryan McQuade77. You can find all my work at awardswatch.com. If you like podcasts, we have the Awards Watch podcast that releases every Monday because this one releases every Thursday. iTunes, Spotify, 5-star reviews are greatly appreciated. While you're over on the website, please sign up for the newsletter. Movie recommendation of the week. I've been doing some rewatches of some stuff for some directors. I've got movies coming out this year, in the second half of the year. And I went back and I watched Luca Guadagnino's A Bigger Splash. Have you guys ever seen A Bigger Splash?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies of his.
I was kind of low on it at first, and I gotta tell you, the rewatch, the movie kind of slaps. And
great double feature with Challengers.
Yes, and I was thinking about like the Challengers and sort of kind of the aesthetic of what he's going to probably go with Queer later this year is much more going to be in this vein of this movie rather than like some of his other films. I mean, it has really incredible vibes for an hour and a half and then turns into this really interesting thriller in the second half that I didn't expect. I've kind of forgot about this movie, honestly, because I just don't think about it a lot. And then the second half, I was kind of really into the thriller and how serious it got and the layers of these characters and the relationship that they had and this kind of love triangle that turns into a four-way love entanglement. And I just think it kind of rules. Tilda Swinton, one of their great actresses. Ralph Fiennes is incredible in this movie. Yeah, I mean, just giving like Dakota J, Matthias Schoenaerts, just 4 great performances. It's hot, it's sexy, it's thrilling. A freaking hilarious ending. And like the last 2 minutes of that movie, I was dying laughing. And so yeah, really dark movie from Luca, but I really like it a lot.
Have you ever seen the movie that it's a remake of, The Swimming Pool?
Oh, the La Poussin?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I have not, but I have it on the Criterion shelf of movies that I need to watch, but it's gonna be pulled off this week.
It's not quite as good, but it's you'll have to let me know what you think, because it's very much like the same story but a very different, like much more kind of austere style.
I don't think the Rolling Stones are in that movie.
No.
So but yeah, Luca just knows how to make hot, sexy, thrilling cinema, and I think he's slowly becoming one of my guys, and I really just vibe with everything. He's got good vibes to him.
Challengers, I think, still my fave movie of the year as of now.
Me too, buddy. It's I switched it a while back.
I think for me as well. I mean,
I think it's going to be the real unless something. This is why we need the fall, because I think everybody's number one movie right now is Challengers.
Yeah,
and it's mean, we need something else to.
I haven't seen everything. I've seen most of the stuff that people have near the top. Terrible year so far.
Yeah,
it's been bad.
Rough.
And again, that might change by the time this podcast comes out. But
the best filmmaking that I've seen all year, I still think, is the Ripley series on Netflix.
Oh, I gotta watch that.
Is Alien series?
Yeah, it's like that is like the one like 5-star like holy cow, this is like a work of art that I've seen the so far this year.
I mean,
like,
I love Challengers, but I still haven't given it 4.5.
Yeah,
every movie this year that I've seen is.
I got that one at 4.5, and I think I have Furiosa at 4.5 as well.
Yeah,
those are the only two that are. But if like Furiosa's in my top 10, I'm sorry, but that's a bad year.
Oh, I think Furiosa. I would feel good.
It's a really good movie, but it's a really good movie.
I think I like it a little more than you do.
I know, I really like that movie. I mean, but it's also like I shouldn't have a prequel on my. It feels kind of messed up.
It's a George Miller movie.
I know, but there should be more, and there needs to be more. Damn it!
I'm gonna look at where if Furiosa would have been in my 10 last year. Let's take a look.
That's
at that.
The thing.
It would not have been in my 10 last year, but Jay, it would have been like a
last
20.
year. Comparing these movies to last year,
yeah, it wouldn't have been in my 10 last year.
It wouldn't
have been just outside.
Maybe in the 20,
maybe 13.
Yeah, but last year so strong.
Yeah, last year was good.
Such a good year. Yeah, it's not
number 20 for me. Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. Don't forget. Don't sleep on it. It's a good movie.
It's not as good as Gentlemanly Warfare, though.
I like that movie a lot.
Yeah.
I believe I saw that one sitting next to Jesse, and I said I liked that. And Jesse was
I think we did see that together.
You plebe.
You guys don't want to. You guys are watching movies together, and then you're coming on this show to hang out with Jay and not hang out with me. That's kind of messed up, Jesse.
Move to Atlanta.
Atlanta?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Maybe I will.
Come on.
Come on.
All right.
Show up to the screenings.
That's going to do it for this week's show. We will be back next week to talk about song to song or song to song. Yes. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you all next time.
Genius, Terrence be the man. Visual artistry spread across the land. Reclusive as a ghost in the director's chair. He films the world's beauty like it ain't even there. Malik's got that flair, shots in golden light. Crew asking where, disappears out of sight. Tree of life visions, every scene's a prayer. Nature's his canvas, artistry laid bare. Malik's got that flair, shots in golden light. Crew asking where, disappears out of sight. Tree of life visions, every scene's a prayer. Nature's his canvas, artistry laid bare. Malik mode, camera rolls he on the low. Directed bricks in silence, even shadows glow. A poet with lenses, never loud, always tight. Breaking gangster barriers with that visual might. Whisper in the wind, shots so divine. Nature in the cosmos, Malik's in his prime. Not your average G, he's elusive in the grind. Spreading through religion, cinematic shrine. Whisper in the wind, shots so divine. Nature in the cosmos, Malik's in his prime. Not your average G, he's elusive in the grind. Spreading through religion, cinematic shrine. Reclusive OG, never out and about. His presence felt heavy in every frame, no doubt. Wanders through the wilderness, mind-blowing bout. Master of the lens, films like a knockout. From Badlands to Days of Heaven groove. Each film a testament, made the world move. Gangster heart with a poet's sweet caress. Malik painting life in a gangster mess.